Welcome to episode 2 of Notes of Success. Today we're joined by Luis Vasquez, a dedicated officer of the Fairlawn Police Department for the past 25 years and a partner in Juicy Platters. He's bringing us a unique perspective on both public service and entrepreneurship. Before we jump into the video, I wanted to thank you for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share. I hope you guys enjoy the video.
Thank you. My name's Lou Vasquez. I'm from Fairlawn. Grew up in Fairlawn. And yes, I'm a police officer. I've been a Fairlawn police officer I'm in my 25th year, believe it or not. And since 2011, I've also been involved in a local restaurant. It's kind of become well known, Juicy Platters. And what a ride it's been.
Wow. So, what initially sparked your interest to become a police officer?
Well, ever since I was a little kid, I was always involved in something when it came to helping people. That seemed to really be my drive. And so as a kid, I was always involved with scouting, which was a big thing that back then. I really wasn't into sports, so I decided to go into scouting. And scouting was a great way to learn, how to do things as far as anything, camping, starting fire, anything. But the cool thing was, like, I didn't realize it then, was like, you're earning all these merit badges, right? And each one has a thing where it's like, it's learning about something in life. And it was really cool because then it gave you goals, right? There was like rank structure. And so I made it to Eagle Scout.
Wow.
So I did it. But during that journey, man, there was a lot of times like, Thanksgiving, we'd go feed the veterans. And like, that was like a really rewarding feeling, these guys served our country. And here I am serving them Thanksgiving dinner to them and their families. And it's such a rewarding feeling to be able to do stuff like that. And that's just one of many things that we did. And then, but I always knew like my calling was to help people. And I remember I took the DARE class. I think everybody did that, right?
Yeah.
DARE, or LEAD, whatever it's called now. And, we did that. And I was like, man, this cop is awesome. That's teaching this class. Like, like the stories he was telling about helping people. And it kind of just fit what I wanted to do. And so I said, listen, I really want to become a cop. And now keep in mind, I'm in 6th grade. Right. And so this guy, I'm like, he's never going to remember. And to be honest, I just kept doing everything that he said. Like, I kept my nose clean. I just, listened to my parents and, just did my thing, and then finally when it came around my 18th birthday, there's a knock at my back door. It's him. Like, literally, I couldn't believe it. And he goes, here's the application. You're going to take the test. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I want to do, and I couldn't believe he actually remembered it. Which was phenomenal. And so, that really stuck with me because it's like he remembered, like, and he saw something in me that made him come back to my house, so.
How important would you say was him remembering into you actually becoming a cop?
Then I really, it was impressive. I was like, wow. But now it's like, now that you really think about it, now when you get older, you become, I guess, a little bit more wiser with things. It blew me away. So it's just unbelievable, that feeling, like I said, is just something that you can't put a price on that.
So what would you say your life looked like when you first started pursuing law enforcement to now?
Sure.
What's that journey look like?
Well, it had a lot. Well, that journey, wow. Sacrifice, a lot of sacrifice. You had to go to an academy. You had to take a test. So I did take that test. I took that and I took the ASVAB to go into the military. And basically I sat down and talked to a recruiter in Hackensack. I remember our Banta place. I still remember these things because they're like etched in my memory. And I had a choice to make. Do I pursue my career in law enforcement or do I join the Marine Corps and serve our country? And the ultimate goal anyway was to become a police officer, and help people. So the recruiter actually was really honest with me, which was great. And he goes, listen, you have an opportunity to go. You passed and they're offering you a position. Go. So I'm like, okay. So I did it. And I endured 6 months of training down at Seagirt, which was wild. Here I am. I just turned 19 years old. I was trying to, I was 18 turning 19. And here I am, like the youngest one in the class, which was great for running and stuff like that. But, it really taught you a lot of, you had to like mature really quick. And they saw something too. Otherwise they would have never hired me. And I ended up working in a maximum security prison you know, and there is where I really learned fundamentals and basics, you know, stuff that they don't teach you in the academy. And that's really respect, how to talk to people, how to treat people. And that was a really learning experience. So all these things that like really carried me on, whether it was, you know, starting in scouting, helping people, then to taking the tests and doing that and having that follow through, you know, because that's important. You know, I never gave up. I did have people pushing, of course, and like really like, you know, like my grandfather was my biggest cheerleader. You know, he always wanted to hear the stories, whatever I was doing or anything like that, and it was just it's rewarding because you know it's like you don't want to let him down, you don't want to let yourself down, and that's your drive.
Yeah. How big of a part do you think, or how big of a role do you think your grandfather played in just helping you overall?
Huge, huge. I mean, even growing up, you know, like you know, you take out the car and you'd be afraid to get pulled over. You know, you didn't want to disappoint him. You know, like just like you don't want to disappoint your dad. You know, you want to or your mom. You know what I mean? But like,
Both of them.
yeah, you know, you don't want to disappoint him. So like, you don't want to get in trouble. You don't want to hang out with the wrong crowd. You know, and these are hard things to tell somebody when you're growing up. You know, like I have that problem now with my kids. It's like, hey, like you know, you got to watch who you hang out with. You got to watch, but they don't understand sometimes. You know. And but yeah, no, he played a vital role in that. Like, cause my parents did get divorced when I was at an early age, you know, so that was tough. But I didn't let that be a crutch to be like, oh, look at me, you know, I'm never gonna have anything because my parents, you know, because you see this sometimes a lot, you know.
I want to touch base on that a little bit because
Sure.
I actually find that quality when I sit down with a lot of people.
Mhm.
That's the difference in a lot of successful people versus people who just don't take action behind
Sure.
it. It's the difference between the woe is me and
Yeah.
excuses between okay, I'm just gonna go
Yeah.
after it. Life happens,
For
but
sure.
we can't let life bring us down all the time.
No, you can't. And that's the thing, you know, people sometimes will be like, oh, you know, like, again, like, I have this problem or I have this thing or something's going on in my life or whatever. And it's just like, yeah, things are going to happen. That's life, you know? Uh, I think David Goggin says it all the time, right? He's like, shut the fuck up and keep going. You know what I mean? Like, sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed
No, you're allowed to.
to.
Yeah,
But
this
you know what I'm
is
saying? Like, you can't live like that, right?
yeah. I mean, how do you feel about the David Goggins edits? Because me personally, every once in a while, I love them. I mean, I think they're funny. I think they're hilarious, and I
Yeah.
think they're motivating in a sense. It's a little kick in your butt and wakes
Yeah.
you up
I mean,
sometimes.
I don't follow him like that. You know, of
Nah.
course, like how I got turned on to him was the occasional TikTok that would pop up, a reel or whatever it is, you know, or yeah, TikToks, and then you know, you just get that little burst. You know, you literally have 3 seconds that you just heard, 3 to 5 seconds of a motivating speech that he little gave, you know, to just get you through your day. And for some people, that's all they need to like maybe get them through a little part in their life. You know, he does a little more raw, to the point. But nonetheless, yeah, it's
So I want to ask you, what does success look like for you as a police officer? Has it changed? Has your idea of success changed from when you first started to now?
policing's changed
Yeah.
a lot, but success still remains the same as far as of how you treat people, how you talk to people. So success in policing can be measured in so many different ways, right? Um, you know, you talk to an old salty dog, they may say like success is just getting through the day, you know. But real success, I think, is achieved when you actually get to help somebody, when you actually truly get to help somebody, or you touch their lives in some type of way where they have like this epiphany where they change, and they change for the better, and that is so rewarding. Like that's the reason why I became a cop. Like you know what I mean? Like I mean, like for example, and I usually don't talk about my day to day stuff, what I do as a cop in a sense, because I don't want to make it seem like it's not a brag, it's not a flex, it's not anything like that. But this is true. This is honestly true. You know, the other day we had an older gentleman that walked away from it's like an assisted living center over here, right? And you know, he's 90 something years old. He's going through probably one of the most difficult things in his life, where you know he's okay, he's with it. His wife's not. You know, she has dementia. She's going through some stuff, and you know they have them separated. So he just got out of like a rehab center for something, and then she just got out of a rehab center for like a fall or something like that. And now they're on separate floors. It was like the movie The Note, The Notebook,
Yeah.
right? This is like the classic Notebook,
Heartbreaking.
yeah, it was. And I'm looking at this, and my heart is like going out to this guy, like oh my god, like this is wild. And but I felt what he was saying, and I ended up finding him. He actually walked back to his house because he lived nearby. Now this 92-year-old needs a walker, and here he is walking. It took him like probably 15 minutes to get home. And so I ended up finding him at his house, and we had a conversation. I said, listen, what if I call the police and I get you guys in the same room? Like, would you go back? And he goes, absolutely. He goes, so I call up, I speak to the lady in charge, and she goes, I can't do anything until Monday, but I promise I'm going to get them in the same room. And because I explained the situation, and I told him, I said, listen, I said, they're going to do it for you. They're going to put you in this room, with your wife, and it's going to be okay. But how can you guarantee me that? How can you guarantee? I said, here's my personal cell phone number. You call me if there's any issues. I'm going to come down. In fact, I'm going to come down Monday. How do you take your coffee? He's like, black. I'm like, all right. So I actually did. I went down Monday. They got him his room, and he was the happiest guy in the world. And he called me. He called me literally like at 10 o'clock in the morning. He's like, are you still coming? I'm like, I'm pulling in right now. But the success behind that was being able to communicate and bridge that gap of his frustrations. And, listen, he's probably going through so much stress. I can only imagine what he was feeling at 92 years old, not being able to sleep in the same room as his wife. And not only that, not in his home, in this place, which is actually really gorgeous, but nonetheless, it's not his home. And the success was being able to bridge that gap, communicate, and then have the end result, which was his happiness with his wife.
That's amazing. It's amazing you get to have the opportunity to affect people's lives and for the better on the day to day.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to ask you, actually, how has policing changed for you? You said earlier it's changed a lot over the years. I know we always get to hear the side of the common person, but I never really get to see the side of the police officer. What's changed for you being on the inside?
Politics. Unfortunately, politics play a big role in policing. And I'm not talking about politics. In our particular department, it's not political in the sense of like our chief or anything like that. You have the actual politicians. And if you're listening to this, I'm probably going to get fired on Monday. No. But you have the politicians, and you have even on a state level, on a federal level. And, unfortunately, you have incidents that happen that don't look pretty, and they're not pretty. And trust me, as a good cop, I don't condone anything that a bad cop does. Believe me. Like, I don't want to work with them. I don't want to know them. I don't want to acknowledge them. George Floyd, that he totally reshaped policing, that incident, and since now we all wear body cameras, which is great. I'm very for it. Because now the world gets to see what I see, and for all the good cops that are out there that are trying to make a difference and trying to do the things that we're all doing. I'd say a lot are like me. Majority are like me. It's hard because it kind of prevents you from doing your job too, if that makes sense.
What limitations have you found doing your job?
Well, some of the limitations, and again, laws are forever changing. They're always fluid and dynamic, where they're always like changing. So like I remember like years ago, if you smelled let's say marijuana, right? You could search the car. And it wasn't so much about like getting the weed, you know what I mean? Like, cuz let's face it, it's legal now. And whoever uses it, that's great. I'm glad. It's it's a de-stressor for a lot of people. I have my own personal feelings on it. I think it's great. I think it's better than beer. Some people may disagree with that. But nonetheless, you were able to actually go and find stuff in cars. So you were finding more guns out there. You were finding heroin. You were finding coke. You were finding, very rare. You'd find like, methamphetamine or something like that. But you'd still find stuff, And that's the difference you were making. Like if I got a gun off the street, I was the happiest because I know maybe I just prevented something from happening to somebody else or somebody's lives getting ruined because they got shot and killed and all that. Now the laws changed where it's like, again, it's great. Marijuana is legal, But it sucks because now I can't really search that car no more. I can't, you know, because just the plain smell alone is just it's
Not enough. I
not enough.
gotcha.
And so now you got more guns out there. You have, we're not getting them like we used to. And so now, but even though that's the case, you just got to get more creative now. And so you just have to work around those things, but it's a lot more difficult. That's what makes your job difficult, and that sucks.
I getcha. Are there any misconceptions about police officers you've heard out there and
Yeah.
want to address?
Some people just hate us because of just the mere fact that we're police officers. I was just watching a thing a couple days ago, and this lady's like, "No, I just hate y'all. I hate y'all. I hate y'all." I'm like, "You don't even know me." I'm like, "You might even like me." You know what I mean? Like, not that I'm trying to, take her home to dinner, but like at least give me a chance here, But I find that like some people's minds you're just never gonna change. It's unfortunate. You're not gonna change their mind for whatever it is embedded in them. But what you can do is have a conversation with them, and hopefully make some headway with them. Anybody, that has a doubt. But yeah, it's frustrating sometimes. It's frustrating.
Yeah, I could only imagine how frustrating it could be for you.
Yeah, especially now in a day and age where like, you got these auditors that come around, and like these free speech, First Amendment auditors. I mean, I get their basis of doing it. I think the way they go about it sometimes, they look like clowns. But then again, too, they catch some people out there, and the cop ends up looking like a clown too. So it's like, but why do all that?
Yeah, I just think it's one of those situations where have you seen the cart narc where he goes around different like shop rights and like bugs people for not putting their cart back?
If I didn't see that, I would still be leaving my cart where it is. Like, I put my cart back every time.
Yeah.
And it's funny, but thanks to Cart Narc, I always put my shopping cart back.
Yeah, but you see those situations he gets himself in, and like
yeah.
he's like kind of egging it on, and it's like,
oh yeah,
sometimes they're just kind of asking for it. That's
100%, 100%.
Well,
you get what you give, right? I guess, kind of.
Yeah, for sure. I wanted to ask you though, how do you maintain like work-life balance? Because now I want to switch over to you said you're a partner in 4 restaurants. How the heck are you full-time officers? The officers I know are working overtime.
Sure.
I mean, you guys are barely sleeping half the time.
Yeah.
How do you manage that?
I don't know. You just do it. And I really do believe we're here for a purpose. We are here to work. You're here to work. You're here to provide for your family, and you're here to, while you're here on earth, but you're also meant to enjoy it too, So, my biggest motivations to do what we do is my family. So for me, not sleeping all the time or not being able to go on a fancy vacation or drive a really cool car, I don't care about all that. Like I want to work as hard as I possibly can. Show my kids that work ethic. So for me, the time is you just make it happen. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's
for sure. I could see it in your eyes actually, because when you talk about it, it's like that passion. We go back to where I say, speaking to more successful people now and like growing my network, I see different qualities in different people, and it's that passion. Like when you could just stay up all night and then wake up 4 hours later and go after it again with 150%.
I won't go to sleep tonight till probably like 2-3 in the morning. I'll be up at 5:45, and I'll work a 12-hour day tomorrow. And then when I get out at 7, I'll go one of the locations, mostly Fairlawn I'll go to, and I'll stay there until about 11, 12, sometimes later.
Wow.
Because there's things that just need to get done. Growth is important. I mean, there was times where I wasn't home sometimes and I didn't sleep. I'd be up for 23 hours, and my partner, forget it. He was up for 48 hours sometimes. My partner Jeff, and he talk about sacrifice. Talk about it. I mean, he should be here next because he literally was the one that created it and started it in 2011, and that's when I got involved. So like, it's not even something that I even bought into. And this is what I mean. So I'll tell you that story.
Yeah.
I'm driving in my patrol car. Well, I'll preface this by saying this. I drove past Juicy Platters probably for about a good month and a half, and this is before it even blew up, before it even became like the spot to go to, right? And I would drive past. I'm like, what is this place? is this like a juice bar? Is it like healthy? I'm not really about that lifestyle yet. You know what I mean? Like at the time, like I'm not into smoothies, and it was nothing like that. So that lesson was never judge a book by its cover or its name. Go in there, check it out, right? But I still didn't. So one day I'm driving on midnights. I was working the overnight shift as a cop, and I'm coming up Broadway, and I see this guy, and he's struggling to put an air conditioner in, and I'm like, oh, this poor guy, and it's already late. So my first thought wasn't even like, is this guy stealing this thing? You know what I mean? I'm like, my first thought is, let me help this guy, because he's only one guy, and it's the right thing to do, right? So I stop. I'm like, hey man, you need help? He's like, oh my God, that'd be amazing. He goes, I'm the only one. He goes, I own this place, or something along those lines. He goes, I just started this place or something. He goes, my name's Jafar. I was like, oh, I'm Lou. Nice to meet you, man. I was like, yeah, let's do this, So I'm like holding it up for him on the ladder. He's on another ladder, and he's bolting this air conditioner in, because at the time the air conditioner is above the doors, and he thanked me afterwards, and he got it on. He goes, and it was actually summer too, so the store really needed it. And I said, man, what do you serve here? We serve Mediterranean. It's a halal restaurant, and you never had us before? I'm like, no, I drove past a lot of times, but I thought it was a juice bar. Like I thought it was like a healthy place or something. He's like, well, we're healthy, but we're not a juice bar. I was like, all right. He's like, let me whip you something up. I want to thank you for you. I said, no, bro, it's okay, because I really stopped just to help. And so I stopped what I'm doing. He stops what he's doing. Wash our hands. Next thing I know, he's making me a platter. And when I tell you, it was love at first bite. I went the next 5 days in a row, and I was just blown away. I was like, this is the best stuff I ever had in my life, And during that time, every time I go in, I get to talk to him. I learned a little bit more about him, and like, I'll give you a little teaser about him. So he did many things. He's a graduate at NJIT, really, really smart, really brilliant. His family migrated here from Afghanistan. They had to flee from over there because of their government. And, I was just learning about his daily struggles every day. He happens to be Muslim too, so it was like, wow, it's like just hearing his stories, and everything that he had to struggle through, and like what his parents went through, and how his mom worked 2 jobs, dad worked so many jobs, and even himself, he would during the day he'd work. I managed Dunkin' Donuts, a few of them, and then at night he would drive a limo, and he would drive some successful people around, and just like you're doing now, he would pretty much interview them, not a cool podcast like this, but he would interview them, and he'd say like, what's your success, or what did you do, and he kind of built off of that. And another thing with success is, for myself, and not to jump around, but it was always learning from other people's mistakes. Why make the same mistake twice? Right?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sense. Or why try to reinvent the wheel? Go with what's going good. And listen, if you could find a way to do it a little bit better, sure, do it. But don't make somebody else's mistakes. You're gonna fail too, right? So he kind of lives by that motto too, and so did I, growing up. And that's why, in part, I got where I am today, which is just being a great human being, right? That's what we want to do. And so Juicy Platters was an idea that he wrote down in his book one night. It was late at night. I think he just got done driving somebody to like JFK or something like that. And he's like, all right, one of my goals I want to do, I want to open up a restaurant. He wrote Juicy Platters, or halal restaurant at the time, but he didn't write like the name yet. Maybe he did write Juicy, because I know Juicy was a big part of the name. And he had his mom's recipes and stuff like that. So he's like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. So he worked his ass off, and he saved 10 grand, and he was able to rent a store that literally businesses would never last at that one place where the original OG's Juicy's was. Now it's a medical building, but before that was like Boardwalk Pizza, and then it was like some other place, but nothing would last. And I'm like, oh, here comes another business that's just not gonna last. But when I tasted the food, I was like, I'm like, bro, you have something special, you know? And it was never busy, you know? And I remember he told me, he goes, the light would turn red right there on Midland Ave, and he would run out with samples and literally give samples to drivers that were out there, right? This is a hustle. Right? That's a grind, right? And that's after him staying up and going to Restaurant Depot and staying up for hours and hours and stuff like that. And so then, you know, of course, now I eat it. And now I told everybody and anybody. I remember I told the whole police department. I told the whole EMS, EMTs, paramedics, fire department. Because those are your people that really, like, know your community. And if you want to get the word out quick, you go to these nodes. Call them nodes, right? Because they'll go out and they're gonna tell people that tell people, and they're gonna tell people that tell people. And next thing you know, God bless, the line was out the door. Like on a Friday, Saturday, they're open till 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. I mean, this line was out the door, and I knew I wanted to be a part of that somehow, some way. You know, look, you're never gonna be a millionaire as a cop. It's just not gonna happen. But then again, you don't take the job to become a millionaire. Right, you take it to help people, and money's just a tool in the grand scheme of things. But like, if you could be successful, and again, success is not necessarily measured in your bank account, right? It's measured in your character, your integrity. It's measured in everything you do in your day-to-day activities. You know, are you an honest person? Are you going out there and helping people? Are you going out there and bettering your community, bettering yourself, and bettering others? You know, that's success, in my opinion.
No, I completely agree with you.
Right.
I mean, just overall being a good person, day in and day out. And if you have the ability, like you said, helping others, that's really important. Because at the end of the day, like, if you have the strength, I always heard, like, growing up, like, the stronger ones are supposed to protect other people. You're not supposed to bully, you know?
Correct. No, never that, you know? And so then with that, you know, now it's getting busier and busier. And I said to him, I said, hey, let me help you in some way. I see you're busy. Now you're really busy. Let me help you whatever I can, you know? So I remember my days off, I'd go there. And I would just clean up a little around. I would help him out. I would just do whatever. Next thing you know, I'm like, let me help you with Instagram. You know, I'm you know, back then a little bit younger, you know, a little bit cooler. No, and then I was like, I could do this, you know. So I started doing posts of the food, you know, doing content. And keep in mind, like, that was one store that he opened, and it was like, there was no rules. There was no, like, it was just every day you come in and just kind of whatever, you know? And then I started managing the Instagram. And then I said, listen, what about if we start bringing fundraisers in here? I know a lot of people in the community. I was like, and to better the community, let's do fundraisers. You could give a percentage back to the community. I planted that seed. I mean, these were nothing new. Like, these weren't things that weren't being done already in other places, but they just weren't being done here. And my whole thing for him was like, I wasn't looking to get anything out of this other than I just wanted to see this man succeed, because nothing ever succeeded in that place. And I really grew fond of him because I loved his passion. I loved his drive. Like, he never once had like I'm going to give up, or, oh, this is too much work. Right? Because nowadays people don't want to really work for what they have. They want a handout, or they want it easy, or they want, like, remember when they were giving out that government money? Nobody wanted to go to work, right? Who wanted to go to work when you're getting money, right? It became like, they literally made us lazy. I don't mean us, like, you know,
yeah, but
society.
100%. I mean, when that happened, I was 20 years old. I'm 25 now.
Yeah.
But I remember being 20 years old, and, like, my whole life changed. I was used to having my schedule, going to class, going to work. And then once I heard, I could sit at home, get paid. Like, I definitely saw myself fall into some habits where I was just a little bit lazier, didn't want to go outside as much. And then I snapped out of it eventually, but it took a while.
And now look, this is amazing. I look around, I'm so impressed.
Thank you. It's because of the big guy in the back. You know what I mean? Like, when you speak about things like passion and drive, I thankfully have him to look up to. You know what I mean? When you're talking about passion, this guy will leave work 8 a.m., come back 6 p.m., and then he's like, Steve, get in the studio. We need to work. We need to plug this mic
right.
in. Help me with this camera. He's always
That's
bugging me, you know. In the beginning, I was like, I would be annoyed like any other kid, you know what I mean? But over time, I started to grow and love a passion. Just spending time with your dad is amazing, you know?
Oh, that's awesome.
And seeing like, it definitely in the past few months, it's woke me up a bit. Seeing the passion he has compared to some of my friends, I'm like, guys, we're 25 years old.
Yeah.
We're letting this guy who's 60 years old have more passion, fire than us. You know what I mean? He's trying to go create something
That's
every
awesome.
day without anybody stopping him, not caring, not having a care in the world. And then why the heck are we 25 and you're over here taking a nap? You know what I mean? You're not learning anything. You don't want to advance. Like, what's going on? So being surrounded by him for me is amazing. You know what I mean? Like I get to see the day to day.
Reminds me of my pa.
Yeah.
You know, that's huge. It's huge. You're so lucky. You're blessed to have him.
Thank you. It definitely is a blessing. I'm grateful to have it.
Yeah. That's amazing.
I wanted to ask you what role does teamwork play in your day to day? Because you say now you're a partner in a restaurant, but also as a police officer, how does teamwork come into play?
Sure. Well, now, with the restaurants and everything like that, now there's rules. So now there's SOPs, there's stuff like that. And why I say that is because now there's a you need a team to make this work, right? So you need to have teamwork, and you need to have teamwork in policing too, because I need to know that when we come in, we got to go home together. You know, we got to make a home safe. So I got to be able to rely on my partners. You know, I got to be able to rely on my team, and you know, for anything, for any call, whether it's a domestic, whether it's a, you know, thankfully we don't get many. Very far and few, but like let's just say a shots fired call or officer down call or something that's, you know, we did have an officer that was shot and killed here back in 2003. Never want to see a call like that. But to know that you have your team, we're constantly training, we're constantly like to have that teamwork and that camaraderie. You know, it may not be department wide so much, but I know for our shift, you know, we're really tight. You know, and I know I can count on every single member of my team to always be professional. You know, I know that they're always professional out there. We're human, so it's, you know, we will mess up. But, you know, I know I could rely on that team. I know that, like, you know, like I know today there was I didn't go on it, but today there was a CPR in progress, you know. But I know my team went, and I know that they gave it 110%. And the person did live. Fortunately, they did pass away, but they got him back for a few hours. And the same thing really applies to the restaurant world, you know, because you need your team to be able to perform everything that they need to perform to give you that finished product, you know. So I know that my Juicy team, I could always rely on them to make sure that they're going to give 100% excellence in anything they do, whether it's the cleaning or guests, you know, making the guests feel like they're at home and welcomed. That's because that's huge. You know, that's where building the culture comes into play. You know, to be able to rely on your team, you got to create that culture.
Has there been any other things from being a police officer that you could take to being a restaurant owner?
Sure.
To a partner?
Yeah. Well, and specifically, like what things were.
Yeah. What traits do you say becoming a police officer helped you out when taking over a restaurant, taking that?
Definitely like leadership qualities for sure. Like, you know, making sure that you're able to lead and you're able to guide people, but do it in such a way that you're winning their hearts too. But genuinely, you know what I mean? Like you genuinely want to be a leader, but a leader that really cares. But that means business that we got to get the job done too. You know what I mean? Cause that's huge.
What helps you stay grounded and connected with your family despite all the the busyness you do have, you know? With a busy schedule like yours, you're running so many different things. How do you stay grounded? What helps you stay grounded?
Seeing other other people that unfortunately may not have the means, or let me try to word this correctly. What keeps me grounded is just, there's a few things. It's one, not being into things that you don't need, right? Like, the world wants to sit there and throw, and there's nothing wrong with owning these things. You know, if you worked hard for them and you deserve them, but you know, I can't sit there and, for me personally, go out and buy a Lamborghini right now when I know that there's people out there that aren't eating or don't have a home. So staying grounded for me is seeing like less fortunate people, and my drive is to help them, right? And to try to get them in a place, and especially teaching our team members, right? So we hire a lot of team members that, you know, they come from different backgrounds, they come from different places, and they may not have had a parental figure growing up. You know, sometimes dad's in jail, or mom's not around, or some drugs are into play where their grandparents are raising them or something like that. So nobody taught them about a savings account. Nobody taught them how to budget. You think schools would do this? You know, my kid doesn't even know how to balance a checkbook. I mean, he does now because of me, but like, school didn't teach him that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
so,
I mean, I'm 25. I still don't know how to balance.
I'll teach you. Nah. So, so yeah, so, you know, being able to help your team members, like, I could tell you so many stories. I mean, so many things that we were able to sit there, and I had one team member that was pretty much homeless, that was literally like almost living on the street. And, you know, we taught him how to budget, how to, what's your goals? Like, the thing is setting up goals for people, right? And then when they work their goals, even if it's the littlest goals and they hit them, that feeling that they feel, and you feel especially, it's priceless, you know? And so, like, we have people that are, like, again, borderline homeless. Now they have a 2-bedroom apartment. I have a team member that's going to school to become a nurse. She's phenomenal. She's bright. She's brilliant, right? She saved up enough money. She bought her own first car. And, like, you know, these are things that are, like, you're seeing, like, you know, because we have, like, over 70 employees.
Wow.
You know, so that's that's like a full-time job, you know, trying to help everybody else. But, you know, staying grounded is just, like, you know, for me, especially during this growth period, it's just like, you know, you don't need all these things. You don't need a crazy big house. You don't need jewelry. I don't even wear jewelry anymore. I got rid of all my jewelry. I used to have a chain, like a nice gold. I got rid of it. I sold it. I mean, I even had a Rolex at one time. It's gone. Like, I just realized that material things aren't what's it. You know, it's cool. I mean, but using your money in other places to help grow people, or actually grow businesses too, for us at least now, to open more locations, is the idea is to keep helping people.
Wow.
You know?
So where do you guys look to take it from here? Do you guys look to keep expanding?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most of our franchise paperwork's all done. It's been done for a while. We just transitioned over to like an owner operator. That's what we're gonna do. So,
And congratulations.
thanks.
I'm happy to hear
Thanks.
that.
Yeah, it was a team effort. So
When did you guys get started on that? I want to take it back, because we spoke a little bit how you just started helping out with the Instagram. When was that transition from Instagram and just a few hours
to partner? Yeah, no. So that was so that eventually helping out turned into, and again, I wasn't looking for anything from this. I didn't even think that this was gonna be anything. You know, I just thought I was gonna help him out. He's gonna get on his feet, and that's it. We're good. You know, they're just coming once in a while, and that's it. But it really, like, to understand his vision too, because it rubbed off on me, was again helping people and helping grow things and grow the business and grow within ourselves too. And So then that kind of turned into he said, listen, he goes, I like need you. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. He goes, I want you to be our community manager. And I had so many different roles, right? Because, during the growing pains of a business, you have to wear many hats. So, it's just the nature of the beast, right? And those growing pains, they were sometimes we still go through them, but not like we did back in the day. Because when we had to move out of the original location, we ended up renting the place where the old TCBY was. I don't know if you remember. It was an ice cream place before, where the new Juicy is now. Well, the new OG spot. But we built that. Like, we literally built it. Like, Jeff and I literally, like, and Mark, we built it. We built the benches in there. We were doing everything by hand. So, because we didn't have like a couple $100,000 at that time just to go pay a contractor to do it. Right. So,
how important do you think actually building it, doing it by yourself, played in what you guys have built now over the years?
So, man, it was a sense of pride and accomplishment. And, well, doing that, though, really helped you understand what you needed to do to open one up. Like, what really, for us at least, every restaurant's different, how their line is and how their kitchen setup is and stuff like that. But for us, growing and doing it yourself, and learning that, you were putting the machines together, so you were learning the machines inside and out. Like, it really gave you a different perspective of, other than just like, let's just say, like you said, Lou, I want to open up a Dunkin' Donuts. Okay, well, I hope you have it's probably more now, but you need 1.5 million, right? And now we're gonna send a contractor crew to open it up for you. Like, they don't know the water lines. They don't know that they have to be pitched. They don't know that the gas lines need to have certain things, or this machine needs this, or this line has to go there, and then, and then you need to, like, have other people, like, service your machines, and then you got to hire other companies to do your, like, pest things to prevention and stuff like that. There's just so many things that you've learned throughout the years, But you mostly learned that by when you were building your first place, like, you knew, like, it's almost like the blueprints, right? You have such a better idea. And then when every store going forward, it's like when the architects were building the next store and the next store and the next store, and everybody was doing all the contract stuff and everything like that. Like, basically you had the knowledge of the contractor. So you're like, well, you don't need this, this, and this. Take this. Like, what are you doing? Like, this is like, you can't get one over on us now. You know what I'm saying? So it made you educated in that sense, which was important.
Is there anything you would do differently now, starting looking back? Like,
no, but I'm grateful what we went through, because that's what really, I remember being, like, falling asleep on the ladder, like, painting or doing something, and it's just like, I wouldn't change a thing. Like, I wouldn't want to be the guy that comes in with just the money and says, all right, let's open up a place and make some money. You're going to fail, because you got to have that knowledge. You have to have that experience of getting your hands dirty. You got to have that experience of coming from the bottom. And if you think you're just going to open up a place and just let somebody run it that maybe has a little experience, which is great, but not knowing the day in and day of the operations and everything like that, you're gonna just might as well just burn your money.
have there been any mentors along the way?
Oh,
that really, like, made a big difference?
Sure. Listen, we've sat down with CEOs of companies, major companies, and to pull their knowledge, because at the end of the day, like, you're there to talk about your restaurant, right? And they have their own stuff, so you're not trying to copy anybody. It's more or less getting like, they went through their growing pains too. We've listened to CEOs that some we even paid to sit in front of, right? Just to kind of pick their brain and say, listen, like, This is where I'm at here. How can we get to there? Like, how do we go from there to here? And it's amazing, to get their knowledge.
I wanted to ask you, is there any piece of advice that stuck with you along all those years? Like when you first started off?
Whew. Never give up. Never give up. Like if you have that passion and you have that idea, go for it.
And would that be the same advice you give to the next generation?
Yes, absolutely. And I would tell them the same thing. Like, look, you're going to go through your growing pains, but listen to the people that did it so you don't have to make the same mistake twice. And make mistakes that they did. Like, it's okay to in fact, when people try to copy us, because, the halal business is like a very competitive business. But for us, like, I don't look at our competitors as competitors, like, right? Like, our only competition is ourselves. So if we lose sight of that, then if I'm worrying about what another brand is doing, and you notice I haven't mentioned any names, I'm not focusing on us. I'm not focusing on our team. I'm not focusing on our restaurant and our brand.
How important is that focus? Because sometimes you do see the competitive nature,
sure,
like, brew up a little bit too much, and companies start to lose the focus on themselves. How important was that focus on the overall journey?
You need it. If you don't have that focus to, like, and of course, like, other brands will try to get under your skin. They may try to copy you, or they may try to do something that's very, very similar. Well, if they're trying to copy us, we're flattered, because that means we're doing it right. And they see success in us. That's the mindset I have. So I'm not, and trust me, if they're really copying, we got good lawyers for that. But at the end of the day, no, but it's generally speaking, we're kind of like, oh, you want to be like us? Yeah. It's like,
I wanted to ask you, I know we touched a little bit about it earlier, but how do you stay motivated on your difficult times? I know everyone has difficult times on your maybe lazier days, especially with long hours.
You know what? I don't really put lazy in my vocabulary. You can't be lazy. You know what? Even when I go home, like, I'm going to go home after this, I'm going to sit on my couch, and it's just like, man, like, I don't want to just sit here and do nothing. I want to sit here and be productive, Like, I'm not going home like other people and going out and watching Big Brother or 90 Day Fiance, or whatever the hell it is. I'm going out and I'm actually looking at equipment, something that'll help keep quality in our food, or something. Like, I'm always just doing something like that, or helping people, or helping, or doing something like that, or really trying to help my kids fulfill their dreams too. So yeah,
that was gonna go into my next question. What's the most rewarding part of your career, you would say?
I'm still gonna go back to helping people. Like, like, there's little things that I do that, whether it's with my kids, which is really the ultimate, or my family, the most important thing is helping them and teaching them and showing them to do the right thing always, and that they bear a name that you can't disrespect it, and so, no, for me, I'll give you an example. Like the other day, I was at a doctor's visit, and I happened to overhear a conversation that somebody was having. It was a private conversation they were having, and I could tell she was really going through some struggles. 3 kids, at a job that I found out later was basically minimum wage, and I think she said, like, her kids hadn't eaten in like 2 days or something. It was something like that. It was like something where, like, and my thing is, like, I never want to see anybody go hungry, right? Like, at all. Like, we have a hunger problem. We should not be having a hunger problem in America. I won't even get started where our money should be going.
Don't get me started either. We'll be here all night.
That'll be for another podcast.
Yeah, next time you're on.
But so I overheard it, and I said, hey, yeah, you ever try this one restaurant? She's like, what? I'm like, it's in town. It's called Juicy. You know, she's like, no, I never heard of it. I was like, oh man. I was like, would you like to be my guest tonight? She's like, oh, yeah. And she's like, but no, maybe another night. And I'm like, I'm so sorry if I came like if you have something to do, you have something to do. She goes, no, it's not that. She goes, I take an Uber back and forth. I don't have a car. I'm a little embarrassed. Like I don't. I'm like, no, I'll drive. Let's go right now. So I literally just met you. I'm like, don't worry. I'm like, you trust me? She's like, yeah. That was kind of wild, actually. Now that I think about it, because I just
but times have changed.
Times have changed, right? Because we're calling Ubers and we're literally taking rides with strangers now, right? We're always told not to go in cars with strangers, kind of like what I did. But I said, come on, let's go. So we go, and I never told her what I did or who my role or anything like that. I just said, hey man, let's try this. How many kids you got? She's like 3. I'm like, all right, what do they want? She's like, this. Don't be shy. You want to try the wings too? You want to try fries? You want to try this? It was like, whatever. I don't care how much it was. And so, yeah, I gave her food. That was it. Like, but for me, that was so like, and we also created her an account on her phone where we loaded it up with a bunch of points for her to go back. And like, that's something that I'll never talk about. Like, it kind of feels weird talking about it now because it's something like I don't want to, like, it's not, that's just what you do. So that's the kind of stuff that I do all the time. All the time. Like, and it's cool because like, even in the policing side, like we'll have devastating things. Like we'll have people that just had a house fire or something traumatic in somebody's lives. And like, or something where like you go to homes where they don't have food in their house. And so my thing is like, that's a temporary fix, but let's try to find a long-term solution. So I'll go ahead and I'll tell them about our food pantry. I'll tell them about our, what services we have from the borough standpoint. We got an amazing, by the way, our community is amazing here. Like the food pantry that they run, we have a lot of residents that are going through a lot. And it's amazing to see when something does happen that's unfortunate. The only amazing thing is that you see the community really band together and help people out. That's what I love. So I'm able to leverage now, which is really cool. I'm able to leverage, at least give people direction and guidance on what to do to help, so this way that they're not in that situation. And then the cool thing is too, I get to introduce them to the restaurant and I get to give them, I have free reign to give them whatever I want. And that's a great feeling to be able to give back like that.
Yeah, that's amazing. To feed people, man.
Yeah,
that's a blessing.
I love it.
I wanted to ask you before we wrap up.
Sure.
Because we spoke a lot about how being successful means there's a lot of failures coming with that success.
Sure.
What's the one big failure that you'll always remember that helped you propel to the next level, that really like signified, okay?
There was a couple fails. One, at one point we were growing a little too quick. We had to pump the brakes, and unfortunately we did lose a space. That was a failure. We lost a unit. We never built it, but at the same time, like, COVID also played a little bit of a role. So, but that to fail like that and to like, that sucks. Because that could have been another location where we could have had another 19 employees, 20 employees, helping them out and their families. So that was a big fail. Another fail. Even failures, they definitely make you stronger when you bounce back. So is a fail really a fail if you're learning from it? I don't know. I guess it's more philosophical. We can get into that. But that was a failure. I know hiring another, like, as again, we get bigger, I don't have time to fiddle with Instagram anymore, even though you still want to make it personable. Like, even though you're growing, you still want to have that small one restaurant feel.
Mm-hmm.
That's important. Hiring this one social media company, and I thought really, in my opinion, I mean, some of their ideas were good, but the money that was spent on that was a fail.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when kind of what you're doing. But it did open my eyes to definitely a few things, like generational wise and generations and what they see. Learned a lot about Gen Y, Gen Zs, stuff like that, which was pretty cool. But yeah, no, that was like, stuff like that, little things like that. And the one big thing with it, like, again, losing maybe one space, or whatever, but maybe some bad investments too. You don't want to see money go to waste when, you're trying to build it to build more. So little things like that were failures that, you won't forget for sure. So that definitely won't be a mistake we would make in the future.
So I wanted to end the show off on a high note, and then just, even though if it's the same advice, just give advice for the people listening out there who want to be successful, who want to keep going. Yeah. I know there's people, like you said, even in our same community, going through a hard day. What would be your message for those people going through a hard day, wanting to create something great?
Man, if you're going through a hard day, just remember that, tomorrow that sun's going to come up again, and you have a fresh new start. You have like, picture it like a book. You have a new chapter, and you got to write that chapter. So, write the best version of it. Surround yourself with like-minded people. Surround yourself with people that are going to motivate you. And listen, here's the real story. You're going to have people that come into your life, right, where you're having that bad day. Maybe somebody burned you or did something wrong, and or maybe they just fall off, right? You're going to have certain people that can only come here with you, right? You're going to go here, but unfortunately, they're going to drop off here. That's life. You can't think about that. They were only meant to be in your life for a short time. So you got to really wake up every day with a fresh start. Know that every day is a clean slate, and you got to write your chapter. So again, surround yourself with like-minded people, motivating people. Surround yourself with a small circle, and surround yourself with honest people, people that have integrity, and people that really care. And you'll see. Take that chance and go for it.
Where can people reach you at? Where can people find you? Social medias?
Yeah, so to focus on the business, I actually did deactivate my Instagram account. Mm-hmm. But if you need to reach me, pretty generic, but Lou, L-O-U, at juicyplatters.com.
Thank you.
All right. I'll be more than happy to answer anything.
Thank you so much.
No problem. No problem.
What's up, guys? If you guys made it this far into the episode, I want you guys to take a second to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I want to thank you guys for listening so much. Thank you guys for all the support. I've been really sick for the past 2-3 weeks, and it's been struggle just to get anything done. But this has honestly been a lot of fun. Today we got my dog in the studio. That's why you see my hand on my lap. But like I said, it's been a lot of fun just getting it out, talking to everybody, having the guest on. I'm really excited to show you guys the guest we have lined up for the next few episodes. And I'm also really excited for just the overall progression of the show and me progressing as a podcast host. I hope you guys are enjoying the content. If you are, leave a comment down below why you are. If you aren't, leave a comment down below why you are, and maybe you could switch things up. Once again, thank you guys. Take care.